Not being funny, but with people like Karim just storming it, these pros better just watch their back. I'm just saying. Hey guys, it's your girl Ayesha and welcome to Ayesha's Strictly Slice. If you are a big fat fan of Strictly Come Dancing, then this is the place to be every single week. If you have no idea what Strictly Come Dancing is, it's a huge dancing competition right here in the UK. Basically, it's Dancing with the Stars, but the UK version. But this one came first. So if dancing is your thing and chatting about dancing is your thing, then make sure that you definitely do subscribe so that you don't miss my next episode. Now, I did say last week that I'm going to be changing up the format of this show because obviously I can't talk about everybody. Otherwise, we'll be here for like half an hour all the time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Do people still say that? Ain't nobody got time for that? Is that still acceptable? No? Too old school? All right, scratch that. So what I've decided to do is give you my top 5 dances. We're gonna do some honorable mentions and I'm gonna then talk about the dance off. And of course, we have to discuss who was the best dressed because, you know, that's obviously the most important thing. Anyway, can we please just talk about the fact that there has been some serious growth this week? People who aren't actually dancers are actually really improving. Okay, so here are my top 5. Number 5 for me is Emma and Ayesha. I actually really enjoyed this tango. I felt that she managed to keep her beautiful, big, beaming smile well under wraps for this one because obviously in a tango you've got to be a bit more on the serious side, and she was definitely giving it some extra sass in there. Her footwork I thought was absolutely brilliant. I really thought that her frame was really good. She looked stunning in that dress. The only thing I didn't like was that random lacing across the front. It looked a little bit unfinished, but that's nothing to do with her. That's just to do with, you know, costume. But anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed their tango. The way that she was able to just kick up her legs so nice and high and beautifully straight, her spins were on point. Seriously, like she did really well. I much prefer her in this than I did to her cha-cha last week. I actually gave it a 7. The judges, I felt maybe slightly undermarked her. I was really shocked when I saw Craig give her a 4. My mouth literally hit the floor. I was like, I'm sorry, were we watching the same thing? Like, what? The rest of the judges all gave her a 6. I gave her a 7 because I just thought that she was absolutely fabulous. Number 4 for me were Dev and Diane. I absolutely loved seeing Dev with his afro. He looks so cute. I love the fact that he was doing a jive solo right from the beginning. Diane is clearly not taking it easy on him. She's throwing in every single piece of footwork possible. And he was really, you know, like he really got those kicks and flicks really nice and sharp. And you can really focus on his feet because he's wearing very skinny trousers and, you know, his shoes were quite sort of pointy. So you could really see his footwork. And I was so impressed. That dance was fast paced and he kept up so well. And it wasn't just about keeping up with the dance. He has natural musicality anyway, but it was also just his whole characterization, like the whole kind of like cutesy like vibe what they were doing, you know, like the whole sort of like love story what they were playing. It all went really well and I was just so impressed. He even managed to get in his little signature move from back in the day. Like I was kind of wondering when that was gonna like play a part, but yeah, he got it in nice and early. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this dance and it's so different to their foxtrot from last week. It's a completely different discipline that you have to learn when you're doing a jive. I thought he coped really well. I gave him a 7, Craig gave him a 6 and everyone else gave him a 7 as well because let's just face it, he deserved it. In at number 3 for me is Michelle Visage. Honey, she brought us to Italy and back with her Viennese waltz with Giovanni. Oh my goodness, like just how beautiful was that? It was very over the top Italian. with her red, white and green dress, but I wasn't even complaining. Again, I love that she got a little solo bit right there at the beginning. I love that they were there together on the boat, and then Giovanni brought the oar down and they used it for quite a bit of the dance, and it did not look clunky. It didn't look clumsy. Nobody messed up. Everything was all done in perfect timing. I love, and I always look for this whenever I see ballroom dances, I just love when the ladies like rest their hands on their partner's shoulders and then their little pinky finger is just up there in the air. I always look for that, and hers was just perfectly placed. I was so happy. It's the little things. And yeah, I just thought it had just beautiful, like gentle sways, and it was so rhythmic, and her spins were absolutely perfect. You can tell that she's really been practicing her spotting, because not once did she ever look dizzy, did she ever stumble. Everything was just perfectly in time. It was actually quite nice as well to see RuPaul come down and, you know, bless the rehearsal, and then also he was there for the actual performance. So that was pretty cool to see. At first I was a little bit like, hang on a second, so he flew all the way from America just to come here and see her in this one show, but obviously he's here because Drag Race UK. Hello, I'm so excited for that. But anyway, that's a completely different show. I'm sure that Michelle won't mind me saying that she's not the most elegant of people, you know, like she's never sort of based herself as that kind of person. However, this dance, sheer elegance, sheer class. I absolutely adored it. I gave it an 8, and so did all of the judges. I mean, in my opinion, as it stands at the moment, I reckon that Michelle will be one of the semi-finalists at the very least. In at number 2 are Kelvin and OT. When I tell you, I cried. I cried. I actually cried, and I actually just watched it again just now. And I probably shouldn't have, because I was like, ah. And I don't want to be crying off my makeup because this took me far too long to do. However, it was just so beautiful. Like, I was really like blown away by all the like beautiful slow ballroom dances in this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed them, but there's just, it really touched my heart. So Kelvin, at the beginning, he was on his own. There were quite a few solos actually in this episode. He was on his own, and he was doing his little 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 moves here to the side. And not being funny, his hips were giving me samba life again. I don't know whether he slightly forgot the discipline, but he was just a little bit too hippie for the waltz, I think, personally. However, nobody's complaining. We love a man who has a bit of hip action, okay? Now, I wasn't quite aware of the technicalities in terms of footwork for that bit of him sort of like stepping off on the wrong foot. I think, what's her name? Shirley mentioned that. Because I'm not technically trained, I didn't notice that, but that is something that she did sort of bring up. So that is a little bit of a shame, but to me and to the majority of the nation, we didn't see it, we didn't care. What I loved in this though was his acting. The song was What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love. I've forgotten who sings it, but you know, that one. And he sort of was dancing on his own, looking really sad, and he sort of like brought his arms towards himself, looked down, and then when he looked up, Oti was there, and it was just this sort of like breath of relief that came through his eyes, and that sold it for me. Like, at that moment, I was drawn in. I was there. I was right there with them in the studio crying. The choreography of this piece was absolutely beautiful, but you know, we don't expect any less from Oti. She is incredible at choreography. I really loved how well that he supported her when she lifted her leg all the way up. Also, just how daintily that he managed to sort of like just twirl her around. Like, there was just no sort of clumsiness, there was no struggling there. It was all very dainty and just absolutely beautiful. Like, I really enjoyed it. I also loved the bit at the end when he sort of pulls her across the floor. They do like that classic like toe drag across the floor. I wonder how many toe drags we're gonna see in the series. But they did that move. He laid her down, slides her through his legs, then he goes down onto the floor, and gently pulls her towards him. That move for me, I was in bits. I was like, I gave it an 8 and all of the judges gave it a 7. I personally think that they should have bumped it all up to an 8, but you know, that's just me. Oh God, so good. Now for number 1. Can we all please just have a moment of respect for Karim? Seriously. Karim just melted my heart. He melted the nation. Everybody was a puddle at the end of it. Like, it was so beautiful. Okay, so they did this foxtrot, which really reminded me of Pasha and Ashley's foxtrot from last year, in terms of just that big band swing style and just that whole Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly vibe that was brought to it. Like, I was actually lost for words. I was literally lost for words. Like, I had to watch it again and again and again. For somebody who isn't a like dancer per se, you know, like we all know that the boy can move, you know, he has got youth on his side, let's be honest. But you know, he's 19, he's not done ballroom before, you know, not done Latin before. He's coming in here and he's absolutely smashing it. Foxtrot is something which is such a hard thing to learn, and there are so many different like disciplines to it. I think it was Anton who said that somebody said that you can't do a proper foxtrot until you're 40, which basically just demonstrates that it's one of the hardest dances to learn and to perfect. Well, I may not know technicalities, but I do know feeling. And the feeling that I got from that for me was worth a 10. It absolutely was. It was just, it was quick, slow in all the right places. It was absolutely enchanting. I loved seeing him spin on his own as well. Like, the spins were absolutely perfect. He had that real kind of like Fred Astaire charm about him, you know, and I just, he just made my heart smile. He really did. You can see I'm beaming because like I get really affected whenever I see a really good dance, and that for me was super top notch. Like, there's little things that he did, like nearer to the beginning, he gave her just the smallest little wink, you know, and even right at the end when they were both kneeling down on the floor and he sort of like helps her up just by placing his hand underneath her arm, just like this. I know that's probably part of the choreography, but the way he did it, he made it look so natural, and that's what you want. You want the dances to look really natural, for nothing to be forced. And it was just perfection for me. It was so beautiful. I gave this a 10. I know some of you are probably going to be like, okay, you're overmarking, but I don't even care. Like, I don't even care. For me, it felt like a 10, and so I gave it to him. And all of the judges gave it an 8. Obviously, you know, they want to show that there's still room for improvement here, there, and everywhere. And that's fine. For me, 10. Honourable mentions. Okay, I need to do a quick shout out to Annika and to Chris. Now, Chris is no dancer. Chris is a comedian. Chris doesn't even like dancing, really, not in front of people anyway. That Charleston, fantastic. I don't know what Karen did, but she waved the magic wand and she worked miracles around that boy, because that was a very professionally performed Charleston. It was full of character, full of life, and you know, he had great swivel. Craig didn't even comment on, you know, any lack of swivel, and we all know that Craig loves his swivel, and he will tell you if you ain't got no swivel. Okay, there was plenty of swivel in that. I was really impressed with his timing. You know, you can tell that he worked so hard on the routine. It was so fun, it was so jovial, it was lively, it was absolutely brilliant. I think that he just improved greatly, so I wanted to give him a little mention. Also, Annika. Now, Annika is somebody who is a bit of a tomboy. She doesn't do dresses, she doesn't do pink, you know, she does jumpsuits and sweatshirts and leggings and goes running around everywhere, you know, like that's what she's been doing for most of her television career. So to stick her in a gorgeous, gorgeous pink frock and have her doing a waltz and have her keeping time and have her looking so graceful, so elegant, and even though it was so simple, it just looked so beautiful. I think that she definitely does deserve to have a little mention, because that for me was a really, really beautiful, not just a beautiful routine, but a beautiful improvement to see, because last week I wasn't impressed. I just wasn't. But this week, she did give me hope, definitely. I don't quite know if this is an honourable mention, but this is kind of like slipping into this section. Mike and Katya, those lifts, they were ridiculous, like utterly ridiculous. To me, it wasn't an American Smooth. To me, it was very line dancey, rodeo, and then like kind of just looked like, you know, when you just pick someone up at the pub and swing them around, you know, like, is that what people do at the pub? Pick them up, swing them around? Is that what they do? Yeah? Something like that. But you know what I mean? Like, it just looked a little bit clumsy. And I thought that there were too many of them. And I thought that it made the dance quite disjointed. But yeah, I thought I'd mention it anyway because the lifts were out there. Now onto the dance off. Well, I'm glad that the right people were in it, that's for sure. I would have been really upset had anybody else been put there, because I feel that David and James both deserve to be there without a shadow of a doubt. James's jive was very kind of clumsy looking. You cannot call those kicks and flicks at all, because they were more like knees ups, you know what I mean? Like, as if you were like playing like keepy uppy with the football or something. It was too stompy. There wasn't enough sort of jive content coming from him. What was nice about his routine was that he seemed to be enjoying it more. You know, obviously last week it was complete dead face and full-blown concentration, which is probably due to a lot of nerves. This week he did look a little bit freer, but there was a humongous lack of technique in it. And I absolutely loved the jive, and I just really, really wasn't impressed by that. Plus, for the actual routine, there was way too much faffing around with the pancakes. I mean, Luba even dropped one, and they were just there, just like flipping pancakes for ages. And I'm a little bit like, can we get on with the dance, please? Because you're spending too long flipping pancakes and not enough time practicing your kicks and your flicks. Like, just no. As for David and Nadia, they were doing the first Paso Doble of the series, and this is a dance which I feel requires a bit of like aggression, I suppose, especially coming from the male. You know, this is about bullfighting and being a matador, and I want to see some serious do you know what I mean? I want to see it in your face, I want to see it in your arm movements, and there just really wasn't that, especially when his cape didn't quite go the way that was intended, and he started smiling. What are you smiling for? This is a Paso Doble, stop smiling. So yeah, that didn't really impress me much. The routine itself was brilliant. Nadia gave it everything. She was working it. But I just felt that David was a little bit like a tent pole and just doesn't really move much and doesn't really move with enough force, enough drive, enough intent. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that only got a 3 from me, and even Craig just called it limp, lame, and lackluster, and he gave it a 2. So yeah, that was pretty bad. But in the dance-off, not a humongous improvement, but definitely an improvement there. James, I don't think he really improved that much, to be fair, but David, he did step it up a bit more. His capography was much better second time round. I will definitely give him that. He managed to keep face much better, and he did stand a little bit stronger, but there is still a lot of work to be done. like a lot. I just feel that one thing that these athletes need to work on is their characterization of the dance. You know, like if you can't move as well, put it all in your face. Let's see the emotion in your face, because that will really help to sell it. Oh yeah, one more thing. The group dance for the Sunday night show, which we all know is filmed on Saturday, but whatever. But yeah, the group dance that was filmed on the Sunday night show, absolutely epic. I heard the first note of the song and I was like, ooh, that's Roxanne. And I was waiting for it to, you know, break into Roxanne, but it didn't. It actually went into Daniel Bedingfield's I Gotta Get Through This. I gotta get through this. But it was done in a sort of like flamenco style. Oti absolutely smashed it. But when I was watching the whole routine and seeing the way that she's been like passed from man to man and seeing like the jealousy in the men's eyes and everything like that, and I thought, this is very much a Roxanne style vibe that I'm getting from this. And then it kicked into Roxanne. I was like, okay, that's cool. I was right. I knew that. That's fine. We can all go home now. This was such an incredible routine, and they also brought in another flamenco professional to come in and, you know, give us a little bit of fancy footwork. It was definitely an amazing treat. I was 100% for that. As for best dressed, okay, so best dressed celebrity, I'm gonna have to give that one to Emma Barton, because that dress was divine, especially under the lights. It was so gorgeous, so sparkly. I do love a proper ballroom gown. And yeah, that was absolutely stunning. Loved it, loved it, loved it. As for best dressed dancer, I'm probably gonna have to give that one to Nadia, I reckon, just because like I loved the way that her skirt part of her dress moved when she did. Like, she was really seriously working this dress. It's unusual for me to pick a red and black dress as my favorite, but I wasn't so much looking at color, I was more looking at style for her one, and I thought that she looked absolutely stunning in it. She was really well and truly working it. Yeah, she gets it from me. Question of the day: who were your top 5 dances? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a little conversation. And of course, you already know that I always want to know all of your views on everybody else. So if you are a Strictly super fan, get writing. To be honest, you were probably writing along as I was talking, weren't you? You were, weren't you? I'm pretty sure that you were. But yeah, definitely do drop down there in the comment section, because I love to have conversations with you and discuss these things in grave detail. Hopefully you enjoyed this brand new format of Strictly Slice. If you do, then don't forget to hit the like button. And of course, if it's your very first time being here, being a part of the Shasha squad, then don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. If you missed any of my previous ones, I have left them right here for you. So don't forget to go ahead and check them out with a cup of tea. Take care, my darlings, and I will see you all soon. Mwah. Bye.